Hello. Okay, we're live. Here we go. Doing a series for sustain your holidays. Oh God, now my computer is going off. Let me turn this darn thing off. Hey everybody. So let me get Town and Charlie Capen. We are going to be with the talented Jessica Grose, who is an American journalist, an editor, writer. Here's Charlie Capen, my co-founder in Town.
I
How are you? Wow, you look all decked out.
I'm just gonna live here for the next few weeks because I'm so tired.
Well, I thought we were reimagining the holidays. So
Well,
what's the
that's
deal?
why we're here. That's why we're here. I think as parents we carry a lot for our kids and the traditions and stuff, and I'm so excited for us to talk to Jess Gross from New York Times.
I'm so excited. I am a
Yeah.
huge fan of Jessica Grose. Um, I I have yet to read her books, but I love her New York Times articles. They certainly light me up. So I'm really excited to get into some of those as well. She's just so personal and raw and rad and doesn't hold back in the punches. And uh,
That's what we need. We need to have honest conversations. We need to sort of reassess everything, and I think we're both on the same wavelength. We have a lot going on. We want to do great things for our family and our kids, but we also need to take care of ourselves, which is what Town's all about, is taking care of ourselves and the planet at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Uh,
Um, also shout out to yesterday. Yesterday was so I sat with myself in that little or day before yesterday, I should say. But if you guys want to watch it, it's on here on Town.
yeah,
Um,
that was really special, and I'm so appreciative for that introduction because I know that you know Natalie personally, and
yeah,
that was a really special experience. And I feel like that was a great start to the week
totally,
to
totally.
recenter and start our sustain your holidays in such a great space with, you know, like we always talk about putting your oxygen mask on first and sort of, you know, recentering for this massive week, you know, if everyone has kids, having kids that their last week of school before they come home from for the holidays and all the crazy
Yeah,
that we're about to talk about.
so awesome.
Do you know if do I invite Jessica in or
Yeah, you can invite Jess in, and then Jess, if you're here with us already, you can request to join, and we'll pull you right in so we can get in this conversation.
awesome.
Um, and also shout out to tomorrow. We're gonna be talking. I'm talking to Chaz from your friend, so
Hi,
we're gonna be talking
Hi,
about some stuff.
how's
Hi,
it going?
Jess.
it's good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you guys.
We are really, really excited. We're big fans of yours. Love your New York Times articles. And I know that we're going to talk about reimagining the holidays, but I first just have to give you kudos and a shout out for your wonderful piece this morning that you put out
Mhm.
in Texas. So, talking about how overturning Roe versus Wade is going to increase, you know, or decrease care with miscarriages and overall maternal health.
Mm,
So, it's a hot topic over here, and I just really appreciate you being so raw and so open and just not holding back. So thank you.
Much. Yeah, no, I think, before I reported that piece, I did not know what it looked like on the ground in countries where abortion is completely restricted, like Malta and Poland. And so just from hearing doctors there who are caring for women who are not given even the options that we have today just really broke my heart. So anything to sort of raise awareness of women's health I am here for it all day, all week. Every,
Yeah, I mean, I
Same.
appreciate it, and we have to keep being loud
yeah,
and you know, being that squeaky wheel, which is so crazy to even say out loud when it comes to maternal health and
yeah.
women's empowerment in general. So yeah, I think that's really it's very very important, and you know, it's and especially now the irony is that we're all home, mothers are home now and they're not returning back to work, and the fact that we don't have the care, it's just I feel like it's all maybe linked as well, or there's that relationship. So I'm very excited, or I was very excited to read your article and share it with all of my friends here in Texas because we are trying to fight that fight.
Yeah, and I appreciate a good fight. Here in New York, it's not it's a little bit taken for granted, I think, sometimes. So just having that awareness, knowing what it's like in other parts of the country and everybody all talking together is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so
Thank
yeah,
you.
should we, I want,
Something a
I
little
feel
lighter.
like
Let's talk
Jess, like,
about holidays.
it's like such a great like segue. Like we're getting into
Yeah.
this, like, I feel like the holidays are fraught as well. These topics, sitting with family that you may not like enjoy being around, or doing things that you violate your integrity about, like how much care you need and how tired you are and how overloaded you feel, or how just like, I mean, this year went by so fast, and I feel like all of us are in this like energy state of just we're ready to shut down a bit.
Yeah. Also, what is time? I mean, since the
What is time?
I, what time is it? What month is it? Who am I? What's going on? Like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think the blessing of the pandemic for many of us, and this certainly for myself, is the ability to reassess what is working and what is not. And so, just for an example, in my house, so we, at least for now, are going to be traveling over Christmas. And I'm not Christian, my husband is. And we did Hanukkah. Hanukkah is at the beginning of the month. Like, I handled it. It's over. Like, we did the menorah every night.
Nailed it.
And my older daughter was like, "Are we going to get a tree?" And I was like, my first instinct was like, oh, I got to go get the tree. I got to do this. And I was like, you know what? Ask Dad. You know what? Like,
It's my favorite statement.
My job is done.
My job is done. I did my half. Like, your turn. And we actually decided that because we're not going to be in the house for Christmas, we aren't going to get a tree this year. Like, we're going to family. They'll have a tree. Like, we'll still do that tradition. But it's like, to me, it was just not a joyful thing. It was like, it felt like another responsibility. And we explained it to the kids. It's also like my older daughter's birthday was last week. So it's like, we were getting a lot of celebration and decoration in the house. It was not like they were deprived of, those moments, and just the ability to like level with her. She's 9, so she can take it, she can understand why. And I talked her through
That she's 9. She can handle anything. Like, I love that you're like such
right?
autonomy for this child.
But I was wondering, with either of you, were there things this year that you let go of that you were like, this is not serving my family, this isn't serving me, like maybe we can just not do it this year and the whole world will not come to an end?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like, well, I mean, it's so hard. And this is why part of the reason why I, really felt the need to start Town is because I have an issue with consuming, and not taking only what I need. And I have this idea, like when it comes to Christmas, like we are not we're going to do like one present. There's no presents from my husband and I. It's from Santa only. And we're going to like really be mindful. I feel like at the final hour, it's always like this guilt of like consuming like nonsense. And like what you're talking about in your article about just kind of things that are meaningless that end up having lesser value. It's like 20% less value when they're bought by someone else. And I've been talking a lot to family members about how to lessen the consumption, because I feel like, at least, with my family, we all gather. And so I feel like we have to be on the same page, or I feel that pressure at least. So I'm trying to relieve that pressure and do something where like our kids make presents and do things from home with their cousins, because there's a lot of them, as opposed to like going out and buying things. So we're trying to do that. Also cooking, exchanging food and like, sweets. But so in that way we're switching it up. But I wish I had the balls to be like, no tree this year. We're done. We don't need the tree. Like that's about like, let's find a corner of the room that we can gather. And this is like our sacred place during this time where maybe we talk about what we're grateful for, or what we love about each other. So I definitely feel the pull, but I need to be better.
Yeah, we've been really intentional about consuming. I think supply chain stuff has made it in a terrible way, and we're actually facing this like with the other parts of the world that I operate in with Gish and these other areas. Like, supply chain has limited so much of what we can accomplish or what we want to see or how we realize the holiday from like a gift giving and like a resource perspective. So really being thankful for what's around us and closer to us. I mean, the adult children in the room, like I would say we're babies, adult babies that we are, have have decided to sort of adopt a kind of haiku of gift giving, which is like, what can we do within the confines of one gift in a Secret Santa setting for each other? We don't go nuts and like everybody gets something and then you feel bad about your gift not being equivalent to a gift that you received from somebody. None of the guilt of like they didn't get the thing that they wanted. It's really about, you know, a single gift that we get paired up together. And then the same thing goes into the children of these adult children here in this room. I'm just childish, I think is what I'm trying to say. But really just being intentional about like the meaning within the limitation, that it's not about the volume. It's not the arms race of holiday gift giving. It's not the like, how can I go to the next level and get into like the Dudley, like, I didn't get 16 presents, mama, like this whole feeling that we get into. And also for people who are struggling financially, like it just becomes a suppressive feeling that if we're not going to town, sorry to invoke that, but if we're not going to town on gift giving, somehow we're less, or we're expressing less. So we are being very intentional this year about even just stating a number. If it's like there are 2 presents this year per like being really intentional about the quota, so that we find more meaning in those 2 things that you're getting, and not putting more emphasis on the meaning of it, but like on the gesture of it, because it's not about how expensive or how many things. It's really about, did I find something at a local place that I can support the art in my area, and then the meaning behind it. And even if I don't have time to really invest all of that meaning into it, I'm just not then overextending.
Yeah. I mean, actually, this is relevant to my next column. Many of the people on the Times Opinion Desk are recommending charities that they enjoy
Yes.
supporting this week. And so I'm going to write about that for Saturday and just shout out National Diaper Bank, like my favorite thing.
Huge.
Just the fact that we live in a country where such a wealthy country and people are still struggling to diaper their children just about, breaks my heart. Like, should not be a case. And it's something you can feel so good about supporting, that is giving people, just direct help with something that is so basic that they absolutely need. And so, I think getting together with family and figuring out where to put your money that would make help the world, make you feel good. I think that's so important at this moment. And also just appreciating getting together. We spent basically a full year not seeing anybody, and life is short. We are going out to see family in California, some of whom we haven't seen for 2 years, and just relishing that and like appreciating that for what it is and having gratitude for that is such an important practice to, especially right now when everything seems still pretty chaotic and anxiety provoking. I am so just looking forward to that very deeply.
Yeah, time. I think time is like such a great gift to give somebody. And even taking the time, if you can't be physically with someone, but to write a note. I know those are my favorite, like my husband and I, that's what we always ask for during holidays or birthdays and stuff, is just a personalized note, just because it's that connection. So if you can't, fly and see someone, but just to, let a family member know, a friend, because it takes time to be thoughtful with your words. Is such a sweet thing. And obviously charity and donating on someone's behalf is a really great way to give and think in a different, outside of the box, I suppose.
I'm so into acts of service though for friends. I actually turned to my husband last night and I was like, the best thing that you do for me in life is every morning he wakes up first and brings me coffee in bed. Like, if he literally did nothing else rest of our married life, like that would be enough for me. Like that, it just, because I'm so not a morning person. I never want to get out of bed. And so just like, I know that seems like maybe small and insignificant, but like doing things like that, like having a friend. The other thing I've been talking about a lot, because I still think about it, and my youngest is 5. A friend of mine, when my younger daughter was an infant, brought over a rotisserie chicken, a bunch of groceries, unprompted, and like just thinking through like, oh, you know, she has a 3-year-old and a newborn. Maybe she would like to not think about dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And just like being that thoughtful. And again, especially in this holiday season, like to me, that is worth more than any scarf you would ever buy me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's thinking of someone else, like legitimately putting yourself in their shoes, like what is going to help them just make their day a little bit easier and softer.
Yeah. I think too, particularly for like from a male perspective, so much of what we do is like this active service by way of like our job or our work, or you know, I like in my family, my mom was the provider. You know, I had a single mom, so this is not germane to like only men by any means, by any stretch, but I think men have a systemic problem with working instead of being still and present with their family sometimes. Like I know that I can get really swept up in the chaos of how much work has to be done, and whether I love my work or not, like it becomes an escape hatch. So then when you're like in this space where you're asked to spend time and be still and sort of be participating in that way, I really want to encourage myself and men this year to like choose that, you know, choose sitting with your family and in ways that you know they will be a gift to them, like you said, like that act of service. And I think too often, like there's a real issue with gender in workplaces, especially with paid leave, especially with, you know, obviously the income disparity, but also in the conversations around family and checking in with other male like colleagues and saying like, what are you doing with your family? Like, do you have any plans? How are you like showing up a little bit? Like having that conversation, I think would be really powerful. So I'm making a commitment this year to check in with my male friends and be like, what are you doing with your family? Like, do you have any traditions? And maybe I can steal from them like a jealous little like Gollum going like, okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to do that with my family. That's something I'm definitely being intentional about this year too.
Yeah, and I think a way that, you know, if you are lucky enough to have a partner and have that equality is like also thinking about the planning. Like I think a lot of that planning becomes imaginary labor that like it's all in someone's head. And I think and it might seem like magical elves just made this Christmas happen or just made this holiday, you know, magic occur. And so just sort of being aware to ask. And I don't think that spouses who are not sort of the primary person who's doing the holiday magic intentionally are not trying to help. It's just like, unless it is explicitly discussed, explicitly asked about, like, hey, could you use help with the planning? What are you planning? Like, just, I think having those conversations, like, can I do the holiday card this year? If that's something that you're doing, which, by the way, my husband and I have never gotten it together.
You know what, you guys, you know it's so bad?
Every year.
I get through, this is like the worst, and if my in-laws are watching, I'm so sorry, but I get through A through M every year, and then M through Z, and we're Padaleckis, so, and my family's Corteses, and so all of my family gets cards, and all of the Padaleckis, now, like, I end up handing them out, because I'm like, sorry, I ran out of stamps, it's just because it's down to the wire, and I'm like, why do I even do this stupid thing? Like, it stresses me fuck out.
Yeah. It's super, but like, God bless, I can't even get it together to like make the card. So you're every year we talk about it and we never do. So
but
maybe
that's better, is having a boundary and saying, you know what, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't need to send out a holiday card to let people know that, like, it's to send to the person who got me, you know, my barista or whatever, you know, it's like, this is so gratuitous. And then it's like, the post, the, you know, the cost, drive it and ship it and mail it and all of this stuff, like thinking about all of the energy that's wasted that goes into it, that you feel like you have, like, I feel like sometimes I have to keep up with the Joneses, even though I talk about like, don't keep up with the Joneses, don't do this. And I'm wrapped up in it myself with doing these things.
Can I
So
just text people memes? Is that like a holiday card? Like, does that work?
I mean, I think it is so hard to let go, even if you are aware of, not wanting to keep up with the Joneses. If everyone in your community is doing something, like it is extremely hard to push back. And that's why, in some ways, I really do appreciate that it is so easy for me to like reject sort of Christmas traditions because I didn't grow up with them. I'm Jewish, like I'm trying to impart those traditions to my kids. But like, I think it's just so much easier when you're not, if you have those traditions in your family, it's so much harder to push back and say, like, deal with potential disappointment. Like if it's really important to your mom and you're just like, it's not working for me. Like those are hard conversations to have. So I don't want to belittle that or like,
sure.
say that it's not super real because I really get it. Like there's definitely, if I ever miss Thanksgiving at my, like, I might be a bit disowned, just like pushed off on slow. Like there, everybody has their things that are very important.
Right. Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about how we show up for others, but I'd love to sort of talk to you both about how we show up for ourselves a little bit. Like any trends or things that are working for either of you that you feel like, any insights around how we can also give the gift to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, not to be selfish for a minute, but like I feel like we need to also be filling our own sort of bucket if we're going to be also showing up for other people. You guys have any thoughts on that? Because asking for a friend.
For me, it's really like the one thing I do try to do most days is get some sort of exercise. I know that's so basic and not, but it's just for me such a mental health and anxiety reliever. Like, because I work from home, there are days where I will literally not go outside for 48 hours, which is just, that's not great. It's not good for me, not good for my soul. So if it's even just taking a long walk and listening to music, like if I do that for myself in a day, like I am in a much better place than if I haven't. And so I think everyone has their like little thing that, is the number one thing that helps support them mentally. And that's it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Jen, how
agree.
about you? What do you got?
I mean, that I'm a nature nerd, so I feel like I'm in the same boat where I have to get outside and not worry about the consequences because I know that it's going to make me a better person and much more calm. And same with exercise. That's something I have to get in almost every day. And I think the biggest one too is I think often I get so wrapped up in the packaging instead of the actual product. And, from how the house looks during Christmas, during Christmas and the holidays to like how dinner's supposed to be. And I think the biggest gift in the last couple of years for me is just letting that go and just being like, you know what, it is what it is. The whole point of this is gathering and, being with family and friends and being, sort of circling up at the end of the year and just being really appreciative for where we've come and where, what we've done. And so I think just giving myself permission to not get it right or perfect because it's going to be what it is. So that has been really helpful.
Yeah.
What about you?
Those are both great. I think for me, the systems that I have on a normal day-to-day basis, which is, what is that really even anymore anyway? But the things that go out, like you guys were saying, are exercise and movement and like doing something for my body. The way I eat definitely flies out the window, and so maybe I'm going to try to be a little bit more intentional about when I have a treat and when I like really treat myself and really like give gratitude for that, and rather than just consuming for no reason and unconsciously eating, but like really go like, no, it's okay. I don't need to have any reaction to, not eating the way I normally eat, but choosing the moments rather than letting them choose me. Nature for sure. I've been doing these walks with my eldest at night with the dog, and I feel lucky to be where I am physically because I can go outside and I have the ability to walk, and like just noticing all of that and walking and having really deep conversations at night. When I don't have those, I feel it in my bones. And so to be able to talk about whatever comes up, there's always a question that throws me, always, every single time at 12 years old, having these like big existential questions. But being able to, self-care for me is being able to check in with my kids in their own ways, and like that fills me up in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I sort of noticed yesterday is that I really want to not put this sort of productivity mindset on my kids. Like, I want them to have space to breathe and have fun, and not everything has to be working towards a goal or self-improvement. And I was just in a space with my younger daughter yesterday where we were like laughing and looking at cat videos on TikTok. Not a productive, like, no one's learning anything in
How
that.
dare you?
But I just was like sort of stepping back out of myself and being like, this is so fun. We are both so happy and we are so bonded in this moment. Yeah. She left that. She's still like meowing. I don't know when that's going to start. She's 5, so I'm like, you can still meow sometimes.
Yeah.
But just sort of like enjoying those moments that it's like, we're not doing anything educational. We are not doing anything that like is going to lead to anything else except like in this moment with each other and laughing. Amazing. So I'm kind of trying to capture those moments and be happy about those moments instead of having those moments and be like, should we really be looking at TikTok videos? It's like, yes, they're great. Who doesn't want to look at a silly cat? Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
What's the harm? Yeah.
I showed my kids a bunch of those viral videos from a long time ago, like keyboard cat, and like we just sat and laughed for half an hour at these ridiculous things. Honey badger. I didn't show them honey badger. But I was gonna say there's a couple of comments too here. Like people had said dance, like for them being able to dance in their room. That's not my language, but like I love that people are doing that. There's a couple of other little things in here. Reading for some people, also reading, commitment to reading this year, and also Jen, your book club. Like I've read more books this year than I have in like 5 years, and I feel so grateful for that.
It's been fun. I mean, you know, as you know, just kind of like reading is just like, and writing is, I don't know, it's just to be able to be curious and discover where someone's coming from, whether it's like an autobiography or nonfiction, to, you know, just escaping in a book, I think is sort of good old-fashioned fun that a lot of people don't really partake in anymore. And so, or as much as I feel like we should. And I just love uplifting authors like yourself because it's such a beautiful art form. And, you know, especially being a journalist, there's such integrity that goes into it and so much research. And, you know, in your page, like I can only imagine the amount of research that goes in. So I love being able to uplift writers like yourself and just learn so much. Like every time I read your writing, I'm like, oh my God, that's like, you know, men who get worried about taking paternity leave to, you know, this morning's article about, you know, overturning Roe versus Wade. It's really, it's eye-opening. So I love that. I have Bess Kolb's. I know you mentioned her, and I'm dying to read her book, which I've had on my bookshelf forever. My grandmother has dementia, so I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready to rip this Band-Aid off, but, you know, just people that you can connect with in I don't know. Some people have like celebrities that they're like, that's so cool. For me, it's authors and writers because I'm like, I feel that connection. So
I saw a question about how to exercise when you have little ones. For me, like there's so many great exercise videos on YouTube for free. You might have to watch a few commercials, but for years, my kids are a little now, so I can leave the house more easily. But like for years, I would just like look for 20-minute workouts, do them in my room. Most of them, you don't need equipment. Like that's how I would sort of sit, like get it in. And that was back when I had a lot less time because I was also commuting and all, you know, the before COVID things that I did. So yes, that is a way to do it. But I thank you so much for your kind words about writing. And I think one of the greatest joy of my work is talking to people like you, and then also talking to all of the people I do in the course of my reporting. Like I feel like it is a great honor and privilege to help tell other people's stories, help raise awareness about whatever it is that I'm writing about. So it's honestly like, I always feel like it's sort of the least that I can do that is good in the world. You know, it's like I look at doctors and nurses and I'm like, I'm just sitting in my house, just typing away on my dumb computer, like what I'm not doing. So I feel like this is the least I can do to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. I feel like this is why we're able to be self-reflective and go like, well, how are you going to change the holidays? How can we be better? You know, and people are here watching and listening and learning and exchanging ideas. Like, how can we? Because I feel like we're in this space right now, and we all are excited to get out of this pandemic, but we're still in it, whether we're vaccinated or not. You know, it's still very unknown with a lot of unknowns. And so there's that raw anxiety factor to it all. And like, how am I supposed to behave? And from city to city and state to state, it's all different. So to come together and be able to hash it out is such a gift, and to learn from each other.
Absolutely.
I love this conversation. I mean, I feel like we could do this all day, because just being able to share the information and sort of sit into, this moment. I don't know. I think for so long, there's so much attached to holidays, though, so much depression and anxiety, and like, did I do what I wanted to do this year? And then it gets into that whole New Year's band of like productiveness and productiveness addiction, So I'm just so glad to hear such sense making from both of you, and it feels really good. And shout out also to Friday, Michelle and Jen. You guys are going to be doing a little bit of mobility stuff too, and do stuff you can do at home and during the winter and stuff.
Yeah,
So
talk about like ways to work out with kids. Michelle Kucinarich, I always butcher her name, but she's from Vancouver and she now lives in Toronto, but she was at a company called Turf, and she did a class called Booty by Mish. And at the time we started working together, I think I just had my daughter, and I couldn't obviously bring her to classes, although some classes you can, and you just kind of pause and nurse or whatever you need to do, depending on if they're rolling around or not. But I would just exercise with Oe in the room, or the boys in the room, and sometimes the boys would participate, sometimes they wouldn't. And I think it kind of just, it's like the holidays, you have to just find a way to be forgiving and go with the flow and let go of the productivity, because if you are at least moving your body, you're at least exercising. It's better than not at all. So, if you have to bring your kids with you, see if they'll participate in it, in the exercises, or you can use, I use my daughter sometimes as a weight. Like,
totally. I'm like bench pressing my kids.
Yeah. So, but Michelle is one of those great instructors who, she's got great workout videos, and I know that my boys have definitely worked out alongside me. And then Odette was, would kind of use her as a little bit of a weight. but yeah, that'll be a lot of fun and a great way to move our bodies on Friday.
Totally.
Yeah.
Jess, do you want to talk a little bit about what you have coming up and stuff? We really want to make sure that people follow you, follow your platforms, listen to your word, like hear your words and listen. And we just want to make sure that everybody knows how to find you.
Sure. So my column is twice weekly in the Times. You need to be a subscriber at this point to read it. So, I know the New York Times subscriptions are not cheap, but I think it is a good investment to be aware of everything going on in the world, not just read me. So
it's a great holiday gift.
It is a great holiday gift.
It is a great holiday gift.
So that's sort of the near term. And then I have a book. I've written 2 novels, which are very not about parenting at all. So you can find them anywhere that you buy books. They are called Soulmates and Sad Desk Salad. And then I have my first major nonfiction coming out fall 2022. Right now it is called All Powerful and Totally Useless. It is about the creation of the ideal American mother, and it is a nonfiction about how we got to this place where there are so many expectations on mothers that are just completely absurd and unreasonable and not working for almost anyone, and how so many of us are not I am just one of many voices sort of talking about how unreasonable these expectations are, and yet we still feel them and we still live with them every day. So the book is kind of trying to talk about where those ideas came from, why we still feel so pressured by them, and how to move forward, and how the pandemic sort of brought these pressures to the fore and made even more people realize that they are not working for almost anyone, and we might be at a place where we can just discard what's not working for us. So that will be out in fall 2022, exact release date to be determined, but hopefully we'll know sooner rather than later. And that's all my
Congratulations. That's awesome. I can't wait to read.
Ugh, I gotta finish it first, which I finished the first draft, but now the edits are back with me, and I'm like working on the edits, and then I have my day job, and then I have the kids, so I am tired. I need like I need a month off from my life, which I will never get.
Well, it sounds like you're the expert then to really write this book. So
yeah, I guess. I always am like, I'm not an expert, I just do the reporting. Like, I'm just a mom trying to figure it out like everybody else.
oh,
So
well,
true.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you to both of you so much. Like, this
Thank
has
you.
been such a great conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So appreciate it, Jessica. This is awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.